Hello and welcome to the ZAFFIE Show. We're happy to be here and hope that you will join us. It's a rainy day today. It's damp and cloudy, and we always have to mention the rain, the weather, because the weather's the weather.
Right.
It's Memorial Weekend this weekend, and we're thankful that we can honor our veterans. They sacrifice for us. Their families sacrifice for us. They're gone. They come back and they're injured or not well, and they should have the choice of the best care we can give them, and they should have it immediately. And I'm not happy with what's going on with the VA. I think we need to think about it and see what we can do about it. It's disgusting. And we should be careful who we vote for when we vote. And I want to thank the vets right now for all they do for us, and it makes it possible for us to sit here and just chat and not worry about anything. Thank you for being with us today. It's going to be a very interesting program. And I would like to introduce Bill King, Chief Deputy, who's running for sheriff.
Well, thank you very much for having me, and I echo that. You know, our veterans just deserve to be honored, and I really think this is probably one of the most important.
It is. It is. You know, they sacrifice everything.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Their life, everything.
Yeah, yeah. So it is an important, very important weekend. Also, when you said that you know, you want to be careful who you vote for, I couldn't agree more. I think that we have a local race coming up that is also very important, and I'm hoping that that the voters will really look at each candidate very, very carefully before they cast that vote on June 10th. Well,
here's a chance for you to let folks get to know you.
Oh, great. Good.
And you're certainly qualified.
Well, thank you very much.
Now, would you tell us, how did you get interested in your occupation?
I will. Well, my name is Bill King, and I grew up in Portland. I grew up on Washington Avenue, which is between Munjoy Hill and Kennedy Park. And I was always very impressed with the police. And I come from a police family. A lot of my family members were also members of law enforcement. And it was sort of a natural progression. I went to high school, I went to college, and I took criminal justice in college. And I was very fortunate when I was chosen. Actually, in high school, I worked for the Portland Police Athletic League. And then after I went to college, I became a police officer at Portland. I obtained the rank of sergeant, and I was recruited by the Central Intelligence Agency to join their ranks. I moved to Washington, D.C., and while I was at CIA, I got recruited by the Drug Enforcement Administration, and was a DEA agent for a few years. And once you join the federal ranks, it's very easy to move around. And I eventually went to the Inspector General's office and ended my career retired from the Inspector General's office. And between that time, I was able to take a little time off, and I came back to Maine, and I was the Assistant Director of the Maine Drug Enforcement, which was I was able to help organize that agency. But I retired. I was in New York City, and I came back to Maine, where I started worked as the program coordinator for the criminal justice program at Central Maine Community College. And after a couple of years, Sheriff Morris Willett called me up and said that, gee, he had an opening, a part-time opening for a chief deputy, because his current chief deputy had been diagnosed with cancer and was going to be out for an extended period of time, and he wanted someone to fill in that spot. And very happily, I went down and I did that, and Chief Baker did eventually return, and there was an opening for a major, and I applied and I got that job, and I was able to stay there. Unfortunately, Chief Baker did pass away, and I returned to that position as chief deputy, in the same position that I now hold.
Now, I see you have some interesting pictures here.
I do, thank you.
Could you tell us a little bit about those?
This being doing a career in the federal government was very, very interesting.
I don't know, it's fascinating.
Yeah. Well, remember, I grew up in Portland, and when I joined the feds, it gave me an opportunity to travel throughout the country. And I also got to travel internationally. I got to live in different places. I went from Maine to Washington, D.C., to Tucson, Arizona, to Atlanta, Georgia, to New York City. And it really gave me, and I've probably visited just about every state. But this is just kind of a compilation of different things, of woods that I got, and sort of my memories, if you will. I don't know if they can see it, but up above there is when I got an award, and that was Senate Attorney General John Ashcroft had presented me an award. This is when I graduated from the FBI Academy, the second one. That was Director Louis Freeh. This is the Chief of the Border Patrol, David Aguilar. That was Congressman Jim Colby. Attorney General Janet Reno had given me an award, and I don't know if they can see it over here or not, but the fellow on the left is Attorney General Eric Holder. And then
Did you meet him in person?
I did. Actually, I got an award from the Department of Justice, and he was one of the people that gave it to me. Mm-hmm. And then that's Senator Collins. We were at a meeting, and up above is a picture that I was taken when I was giving a talk about the Jamaican lottery scams, and Senator Collins was also there.
I think you should be president.
You think? So does my family.
Oh, all right. Speaking of your family, two of them are here today.
Yeah.
And let's see, here I have their names. Somewhere's here.
That's okay. I know their names.
Okay. I'll let you introduce
Great.
them.
Well, my daughter Cammie is over on the right, and my son Joel is in the middle, and Joel's significant other Rachel is on the other end.
Welcome. And tell us, all right, what does your daughter do in Virginia?
I'm very proud of both of my children. My daughter is a crime analyst for the Fairfax County Police Department. That's one of the premier police departments, I believe, in the country. It's also a very large police department. She's a crime analyst, and she does predictive analysis. She's the person that will look at all of the crimes, all of the solvability factors, and she'll figure out where it's best to deploy resources, where it's best to deploy staffing to try to catch those criminals. She's currently assigned to the Organized Crime and Narcotics Division. And it's a very prestigious job, and she does very, very well. But I think her biggest accomplishment is her son, Sean, who's 3 years old, and he's just a great little guy. And yeah, it's really, has done very, very well, and she's brought me a lot of pleasure. Her husband, Stephen, is also with the Fairfax County Police Department. He is soon designated to be a sergeant.
Very nice.
Right. And my son is, I'm also very proud of my son. He is an entrepreneur. He stepped out of the mold of law enforcement, and he owns a company called Precision Payments. He does credit card processing, and he does a very, very good job with that. He lives in Florida, but he travels quite a bit for his business. And his girlfriend is she's a private business owner herself. So these two entrepreneurs found themselves.
Good. Good luck. I know today they have to travel. Mm-hmm. My grandchildren travel too, but they come back to Maine.
Well, they do. I think that both of my children would love to resettle back in Maine, and perhaps maybe they will someday. And I think you're right. Maine is a special place.
It is.
I've been, I've lived in 5 different states, so 4 or 5 different states, but I've traveled throughout the country.
Now, when you travel, this is a little bit beside what we're going to talk about. Did your family go with you?
No.
No.
No, not usually. No. No, I would travel a lot on business. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of my strong points to be sheriff, is I've not only have local experience, but I have experience throughout the country. I've worked in the streets of Los Angeles and New York City, as well as the rural areas of Kentucky and
You know, everything is so global today, and intertwined. That's good.
Mhm.
You need to have that.
I think you do, and I think the broader experience, it makes you a better manager. It makes you a better leader
When
for
you
contemporary law
understand more
enforcement.
what's going on.
I'm sorry.
You know,
Yeah.
you mentioned the Jamaican lottery scam. Could you tell us about that a little bit? I
Sure.
don't know what that is.
Right. Well, I'm glad you don't know.
I don't.
The
At least
I-
I think I don't.
well, it was a couple of years ago that a woman in Arundel, Maine, had lost about $100,000 in the Jamaican lottery scam, and we got the call.
Now, this Jamaican lottery scam, is that like a lottery?
Well, it's what it is that you'll get an unsolicited telephone call or a mailing, and somebody will say, "Congratulations, you won $2.5 million and a brand new BMW," and they immediately start the fantasy thinking. What color do you want your BMW to be? What are you going to do with the money? And you lose yourself in that. And from and it's once you start talking with them, and these people, these criminals, are oftentimes trained telemarketers. They know how to establish a connection with you. They know how to overcome objections, and they're able to seal the deal, if you will, because to collect your winnings, you need to pay a fee, and once you pay that fee, of course the fees never stop. You need to pay a fee for lawyers, you need to pay a fee for processing, you need to pay a fee for this and a fee for that. And eventually people just continue paying those fees, and the fees don't stop. And then people are afraid to stop, because after you've paid a couple $1,000s, you don't want to stop.
They
And,
keep you on the hook.
and they're very, very convincing. So I was able to, we looked at that case, and we were actually able to solve that case. I'm very proud of the sheriff's office. We tracked the money. The money went to 5 different states, to 7 different individuals, but it all ended back in Jamaica. And we were actually able to identify the people in Jamaica. So I felt that we had enough to prosecute the case, and I went to our federal prosecutors, but there was some reluctance on their part, and some reluctance by federal authorities to continue investigating it. So we changed our focus from an enforcement focus to an education, of course, but we didn't have any money to do that. So I was able to partner with Fairpoint Communications, and they were very, very good partners. We established reading material. We established some news conferences. We have a website, www.beware of876. They shot a PSA, a public service announcement, and it's on that website. And if you go to that website and you click on the video, I want to remind the readers that video does add about 10 or 15 pounds to people. But it really worked. I mean, that website, we get a lot of hits on that website, and a lot of the hits come from Jamaica. And actually, Jamaican authorities wanted us to stop. I said, well, we're not going to stop. And they invited me to Jamaica, and I was able to go there, and I had meetings with the equivalent of our FBI director and the equivalent of the Attorney General. And I told him that this was really hurting Americans. And when I came back to the United States, the Senator Susan Collins and Senator Bill Nelson from Florida invited me to testify in front of the Senate committee for the Special Committee for the Aging. And I was able to tell senators that we needed to devote more resources to our elderly. And it's been, I feel that it's been impactful, and I was very honored last November to be, one of the things on my board there is that the Portland Press-Herald named me one of the 10 Mainers to be most thankful for last November.
I think I read that.
Yeah, it was a very It was very nice of them to
You know,
recognize me.
we're living longer and older.
We are, and actually you bring up a good point because Maine, demographically, is actually the oldest state. You know, people are staying here. There's more older people in Maine than there are in Florida. Florida's number 2, and I think New Hampshire is number 3, and Vermont is number 4. So consequently, when we did an analysis and we found where are the calls coming from Jamaica, they're mostly coming to the northeast.
That's interesting.
It is very interesting,
I didn't know about that.
right?
There's a lot I don't know about. But, okay, that's fine. Now, can you tell us a little bit, we were talking about refugees and immigrants. Can you tell us what the difference is?
Oh, sure. Well, an immigrant oftentimes is somebody that that can show that when they come to the United States, they have an economic base. Somebody will sponsor them, usually a family member, like my grandmother's Italian. When she came to the United States, she had family here, they had a job set up for her, and a good immigrant tries not to take city services. Now, a refugee, on the other hand, they're usually sponsored by like a faith-based organization or maybe even a civic organization. And they come because they don't have to show economic solvability. They come and they are actually taken care of by the state until they're up and running, until they can succeed on their own. But we had talked about that when we were talking about what, you know.
It's harder now
Well,
for them to succeed on their own.
Well, it is hard. That's why it's important. I think we talked about that when we were talking about how important it is for law enforcement officers to have cultural diversity training, because there's so many different cultures and customs. And if during Ramadan there's a domestic disturbance at a house, I mean, police officers need to be aware of what occurs during Ramadan, where they're perhaps unable to eat or their tempers are flaring. Another example, if you take a Muslim woman, if there's a car accident or another situation and you put them in a police car, they will resist being placed in a police car beside a male that's not her husband, because they feel that that's an inappropriate thing to do.
You know, I can understand that because my father was very strict. He was from Greece. So I understand that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's many different things. I mean, this to us means, hey, that's good. In other cultures, this is a very derogatory thing to do. It's derogatory to show your heels to an Arab, to show the bottoms of your feet to an Arab. So this, I teach this at the local community college in one of my police science courses. So I find that very interesting, and we try to talk about that a lot whenever I talk to officers.
It's true.
Yeah.
Let's see, it goes back maybe 8 generations in America. Yeah.
Another prevalent issue that we're facing in Maine is the sovereign citizen threat. Sovereign citizen is a person that doesn't believe he should have to pay taxes. He believes that there's that police don't have any authorities, and oftentimes if the police will stop them, that they'll try to file a lien or file an financial affidavit on them. And it's there's just been some legislation last year.
I was just going to say, we need some laws.
There is some laws that you can no longer in Maine file a lien on a police officer for anything that he did in conjunction with his official duties. It was, and it was something that I was involved in. But the Maine State Police Attorney, Chris Parr, is the one that he wrote the legislation, and it passed through the House, and it was really a great piece of legislation to protect our law enforcement officers.
They should. They should. Even more so now. You don't know who's going to just up and shoot you.
Well, oftentimes as a sovereign citizen will become very frustrated because, for example, they don't believe that they need to have their vehicle registered.
I know.
So of course they're going to get stopped by the police. And oftentimes they don't believe that they need to have a driver's license. And they're going to get tickets, and they continue getting tickets and warrants, and it's a never-ending cycle.
When I went to renew my driver's license, that was about 4 or 5 years ago, they wouldn't give it to me. I had to go home, get my birth certificate, and prove that I was who I was. And I've lived here.
Wow.
How many years?
Yeah.
I went one place and they made me do that. And so I went another place and they said, no, same thing.
Yep.
Now, but
Yep. Well,
so I did it. I followed the law.
good, good, good.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
There was something when you were talking I thought of, and it left my mind.
Yeah. Well, I think you were going to ask me about the what's the biggest obstacles? What are the big challenges right now at the sheriff's office? And we have, we have a lot of challenges. I've been at the sheriff's office now a little over 4 years.
Excuse me a minute. What I was going to ask you before I forget it again, and then we'll get back. What about all these criminals they're releasing? Letting them out of jail.
Where? You
In
talking about?
America.
Oh. Yeah, well, if they've done their time, they have to. And, but
don't
I think,
know.
are you talking about California
Yeah, where
because
they-
of the budget?
No, all I saw was, and I've seen it 2-3 days, they were releasing all these men from jail.
I think I know that California has released a lot of people from jail because of the budgets, that they can't afford to have that. There was also some, anybody that was convicted of possession of crack cocaine, their sentences were reduced, because what was found is that people that were in possession, convicted of possession of crack cocaine, received disproportionately higher sentences than those that were convicted of powdered cocaine. And what I think what was determined in the Supreme Court is that the crack cocaine is typically, people convicted of crack cocaine were typically minorities, whereas people convicted of powdered cocaine were typically white. And they found that that was a disparate sentencing, and that there has been some changing of the sentences to release these folks earlier. We've got, because our jail is the second largest in the state. Perhaps you've heard that the current governor he's been making some gyrations about taking over the jail, which I don't think would be a good idea. I think that locally we can do a much better job. I think with local control, we know our offenders. And having the second largest jail in the state, if the state takes it over, they will fill that with capacity. And I believe it'll really kind of almost start a criminal college, because we'll have people from all over the state here in York County. Whereas now, if we have several programs. We've got the gardening program, we've got the screen printing program, we've got the embroidery program, we've got the welding program.
Good.
We've got a lot of programs, because our interest is to return these offenders out to society productively. And if somebody has some type of training, that they will be released, and hopefully they'll be productive members of society. I've got some ideas. Perhaps I think we talked earlier that that it's been well documented that there's a staffing crisis amongst some of the York County Corrections offices, that there's been we don't have enough officers to fill the ranks. And my plan for that is to institute a reserve program, and I think that we can really get a lot of good reserves from the ranks of teachers. Teachers are well-trained people, well-trained professionals. They have training in classroom management. They have, since Sandy Hook, they all know about crisis intervention. And it's my understanding that in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to need fewer teachers. Plus, with the virtual classrooms, there's less need for teachers. But what a great resource that would be if we could start training some teachers and do the do the training for corrections officers right there at the school. Actually, I've had some preliminary discussions with the superintendent of RSU 57, John Davis. He thinks it's a wonderful idea. In fact, he wants RSU 57 to be the pilot program for that, just to see if we can get some interest, give these folks some training, and during the summer months, and teachers work very, very hard.
Yes, they do.
So, and I feel that if they're already used to working hard, if they can go in and if they have some time off, if they perhaps may want to work at as a corrections officer. And I feel that's kind of it may be a break from them, you know, where they, and what a great asset that would be for an offender, to have a teacher there supervising him, talking with him. It's just a great role model. And that's one of my programs, to kind of relieve some of the staffing levels that we have there.
It's a good idea.
Well, thank you.
I don't know if I'd want to be a policeman today.
Well, that's the other side of the house. We have the corrections side, and then we have policing services. And in York County, we are very, the staffing is very light. York, we cover 14 towns. The sheriff has responsibility to provide policing services to 14 towns.
That's hard. It's a lot.
It is a lot, especially with those 14 towns. It has 48,000 people, wintertime population. What happens in the summertime with all the summer houses and the guest houses? So it more than doubles. And we have about 520 square miles. And we provide policing services with 24 deputies.
How can you do that?
Well, we were very innovative with the schedule. We asked the state police to help us. Actually, the state police have taken 5 of those towns, and they provide about 16 hours worth of policing coverage for them. So we have a very good partners with the Maine State Police. But what I hope is that we can talk to some of these towns and encourage them to hire a contract deputy. A contract deputy is a deputy that gives each town dedicated 40 hours a week. It really enhances community policing, because that deputy, he gets to know the townspeople get to know him, he knows what the quality of life issues are, and he's really their representative. He's their advocate to ensure that the town has adequate police coverage.
I know Saco has wonderful policemen, and I'll tell you a story. This is a little off the subject. I had a new car, and I went out up on, they tore it down now, and we had an affair there for church, so it got to be about 11 o'clock, and I said, I'm going to go home. And it was raining and dark, and now I had a new car. And it had just come out of the garage. They had done something to it. I no sooner got on Route 1, the policeman stopped me. He says, you know, your lights aren't on. So we fiddled around with them, and he thought they were on. So I kept going, and I still couldn't see, so I'm going slow. And I'm way up by, I forget the name of that place they tore down on Route 1. It was a landmark. I hated to see it.
Oh, the little...
the restaurant.
On Route 1.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Up there near the red lights.
Yeah.
So I'm going slow. I want you to know how far up I was. I'm going slow, and I'm putting the lights, and I'm turning everything. Now, this is a new car, and I'm not used to driving at night. So I'm going slow, and I'm getting a little nervous now, because I still can't see, but the light's on in there. I don't know what was wrong. So I got down by Thornton Academy. You won't believe this. I still don't believe it happened to me. A policeman, this side of me, that side of me, in front of me, in back of me. And I go, I'm not drinking, I'm not drunk, I don't know how to use this car. And so they helped me. And they said, do you want us to escort you home? I said, no, I don't want my neighbors to see me being escorted home by the police. Can you imagine 4 of them, one in back of me, one there, and one in front of me?
Well, that's about how many police officers we have covering 520 square miles.
How did they know? Where did they come from? there they were. I went around that corner at Thornton Academy.
Well, I think somebody must have called and said that maybe they thought you were drunk or something.
Or sick or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Or an old lady.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a new car, so I went home and I told my kids the next day. I called them up and they said, Mom, now they think it's me. You know how kids are. And so I'm going back to the garage. I just got this car and I said, I don't like this. Well, I went back to the garage and they forgot to turn something.
Oh.
And the lights wouldn't go on. A little button there.
Yeah.
I don't know the vocabulary.
Well, these cars today are very, very complicated. I know what you mean.
You think you're driving an airplane or something.
Yeah, I just got a Honda CR-V.
I got a Honda Civic.
Okay.
I love it.
Yeah, yeah. I couldn't find the flashers.
That's it.
And it's on the dashboard,
Yeah.
you know, and I went, gee, I didn't want to press in, but that's all I have to do is press in and it goes on. And I mean, I've not used my, I mean, I've owned cars all my life, but really with this vehicle, I'm using the manual to find out where things are.
How about if you turned your blinker on and didn't know it and couldn't get it turned off and you're in traffic?
Yeah.
Oh, I've done it all.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget that. 4 of them.
Yeah.
Right in front of me and back of me and both sides of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about how many police officers we have in York County for all that time. And it is a challenge, and what we try to do is we try to ensure that that there's enough, that the schedule is there, that the state police are there manning their folks, because it is a dangerous situation sometimes.
And you know what? The police that stop people should use their heads too. If they see an old lady in a bouncy car, a car that moves right along, they should stop and think, now this woman isn't doing what she's doing on purpose.
Yeah.
And if we do speed, which I have, then we deserve a ticket.
Well, you're right. And actually, with the sheriff's office, we give a lot of warnings out, and it's well known that the fees for traffic tickets is down in the state.
Oh, okay.
And one of the things that the Maine Sheriff's Association has done, they've talked to the Bureau of Highway Safety, and we're asking that the fees get lowered, because it's when you stop somebody, a single mom or maybe a fellow that's out of work, and you give them a ticket, the penalties are so high that I'm finding that the deputies are reluctant to do that, and I think that's good.
Well, that helped my heavy foot, that ticket.
Well, it does, and I think
because it's very high.
Yeah.
I haven't had one for many years now, but I've had them.
Would a warning have done the same thing?
No.
Oh,
It would have for a while.
Yeah.
But when you automatically got a heavy foot, you don't want it.
Yeah.
But that's you. But if you have to pay $100-some a couple of times, you're going to think, no, you tell that foot to behave.
Yeah, yeah.
I've gotten tickets, but a lot of times it's because I'm in a hurry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand.
And I've had policemen go to me.
Slow it down.
Slow down.
Yeah.
I don't speed anymore.
Wow.
Oh, and if I did, my kids would always say, you deserve it.
Yeah.
You deserve it. And I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But the police should be, they should stop and think too what they're doing before they give. I've been accused of being drunk because I was trying to find the street on that side and I was on the right. And then to make matters worse, I had all my insurance. I keep them every year in my compartment, and I had my license and everything. But he got an old insurance, and he said, "You don't have your insurance policy."
Yeah. But all you have to do is just go to court and show it. And
I just went. I paid it, and I went to the police department.
But you had insurance.
But no, yeah, I did. But he pulled out the wrong one.
All you have to. Oh, I'm sorry that you paid it. All you had to do is really go to court and say, "Look, I didn't have it
I'd rather
here.
pay it than go to court.
Oh, okay.
I know it. Okay, let's get back to your
Yeah.
subject.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Well,
Um,
the
Tell
you
us.
know,
Go ahead.
no, one of my other interests is that I think I told you when I first retired, I was teaching at Central Maine Community College, and I got my job at the sheriff's office. But I still keep my hand in teaching. Uh, the I'm an adjunct instructor at York County Community College, and I also teach at Hudson College. I really enjoy that. I mean, I have a lot of experience, and it's it's kind of my way of giving back. I also teach for the Maine Chiefs of Police. I travel around the state, and I've presented things about the Jamaican lottery scam, and I've presented things about sovereign citizen ideology, just what we should look at as patrol officers. In fact, just 2 weeks ago, I went up to the Maine Criminal Justice Academy and gave the new recruits a 2-hour block. And when I read their critiques, what do you think the biggest critique was? Not enough time, because there's so much to it. So I enjoy that. I enjoy having interns at my office. In fact, for my campaign, I have a lot of my interns are out knocking on doors, and they're talking to different people and really supporting me. Suzanne Moulton, one of my students, just recently wrote a very nice letter to the editor that I thought was very heartwarming that that she would take the time to do that.
That's good. You could even do that for teenagers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, and you're right. And actually, the one of the other I'd forgotten that one of the other folks that, because we have I've taught for the Maine Chiefs of Police, the International Association of Chiefs of Police had me speak at their conference in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania last February, which was another opportunity to kind of just talk about things that happen. Things that are happening in Maine really are impactful. It's sometimes we think we're insulated in Maine, that things don't happen here, but things do happen here, and we're very well poised to take on these challenges. And it's just, I think I'm proof that I went and I spoke about these Jamaican lottery scams and about the sovereign citizen ideology, and I had a room full of police chiefs and other senior officials from all over the country, and they wanted to learn, and they were very impressed that we actually have a law for the sovereign citizens that they prohibits them from suing our police officers.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Well, there's more and more coming out. Every week there's new problems coming up and new laws.
Yeah, well, there is. I think one of the other things that we like to look at is school security.
Oh, I have 3 school teachers in my family, and I was one too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're very well. The sheriff's office is very interested in maintaining a safe environment for our schools. Actually, we're very proud of our school resource officer. He was selected as School Resource Officer of the Year on the national level. And last June, I went down to Orlando, Florida, and watched him as he got his award. And there was just 600 people were in the room when he got that award, and it really was. It was quite. I was very proud of the York County Sheriff's Office when he got that award, and he's an expert in that. In fact, he goes around to other school districts and he talks about, school security. He talks about best practices, about how he would handle the crisis, and he's really become the local subject matter expert. And
That's great.
yeah, and actually I wrote an article in a national magazine, in the National Sheriff's Magazine, just talking about Deputy Jason Solomon and how well he does do with the with school security.
That's interesting, especially to me, because I have one teaches in Lyman, one in Saco, and one in, now I know where I forget it now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. 3 different districts. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I taught in Saco.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But things were, way back when I was in the school system, it was different.
Right.
Different. Now we won't get going on that.
No.
Yeah. So what would you like to see done if you become sheriff?
Oh. Well, I would try to beef up the patrol division. I would want to see more deputies on the street, and I would do that by going to the towns and explaining to them the benefits of having a contract deputy.
I don't see how you can take care of so many towns.
It's a challenge. It's a real challenge. The detectives are overworked. Oftentimes the deputies need to go from call to call. I mean, we handled 30,000 calls last year. It's a challenge, but we do it, and we pitch in. We try to be very creative with our scheduling. We apply for a lot of grants, and we try to get that done. But it is a challenge, and we do need to get additional deputies. But the budget is on everybody's mind. So if we can keep it revenue neutral and ask the towns to pitch in. It's sort of like what I tell townsfolk, it's like watching television with a remote. And when you have a contract deputy, you have one person you can call, one person that's dedicated to your issues in that town. Now, without a contract deputy, you don't have a remote. And so right now we've had, and since I've been the chief deputy, we've had 3 other towns have entered into contract agreements with us. And I'm certain that over the next few years after I'm elected sheriff, that I'll get the other towns to enter the contracts. The other issue is the staffing crisis at the jail, and I would take care of that with the, with the reserve program. The other thing I would want to do is I want to work more on the recidivism rate of our offenders in York County. And one of the things that has always concerned me is when I'll go to work and I'll see somebody walking this long way up to get to Route 4 to try to get home, and they're there with their little plastic bag of all their possessions, and oftentimes I'll stop and I'll give them a ride a little bit closer because I feel that they just got released, they did some time, and they maybe feel like losers. And one of the ways I'd like to try to address that is if somebody's in jail for 6 months or more, now we can keep people up to 9 months, but if they do their sentence of 9 months on one charge, oftentimes the judge will say stay there, and then they start their next sentence of 9 months. So we have people up there for 18 months oftentimes. But what I'd like to do is have these establish a success committee, and a success committee will, and it's got to be volunteer. I don't want it to be. It's going to be revenue neutral. I want to assign a corrections officer to an offender. I want to have a police officer from the different communities. Let's just say it's an offender from Biddeford. Have a police officer from Biddeford take a special interest in that person. Have somebody from the clergy in Biddeford. Have maybe a business person from Biddeford, and have somebody from the offender's family. And what those 5 people will do is I want them to meet with a facilitator, meet with the offender, and figure something out. We've got time. They're in jail. Let's figure out how they can be successful when they're released. Let's come up with an action plan. And I'm hoping those 5 people will develop into their natural supports. So when they are released and they go and they leave the facility, they won't have that low self-esteem. They won't feel that they're not worthy, that they're going to have a plan. They're going to have a strategic plan how to get them back out.
That's good.
Because right now they leave, and we return them to the same environment that they came in. So they're there, and if they have a police officer and they have a cell phone of the police officer, and all their friends say, hey, let's go rob the store, let's go burglarize, let's go get some drugs, at least they're going to have a number that they can call to say, what do I do? Give me some advice. And they'll also have the clergy, they'll also have, and perhaps even with the business community, perhaps that if a businessman gets to meet somebody, and perhaps that may open up an opportunity for them.
That's needed.
I think it is, because
Needed.
so many of these crimes are drug fueled. I mean, people break into houses now, and you know, they may take a TV or some electronics, but they're really looking for the medicine cabinet. You know, and that's why the drug take back is so important too, to get rid of that unused medication. Bedford Police, Saco Police, most of the police departments in York County participate in the drug take back, and that's usually 3 or 4 times a year, which is really, it's a great program to get rid of the unused medication and not flush it down the toilet, because that hurts our water supply.
Well, those are good ideas.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Those are good ideas.
Thanks.
Well, I think our time is about up.
Okay.
Is there something you'd rather like to say to the audience?
Oh, I would. Well, first of all, thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you, ZAFFIE, for having me.
Pleasure.
Thank you. This is a very important election on June 10th. There is no Republican candidate. There is no declared independent candidate. There are 3 Democratic candidates vying for sheriff. So on June 10th, the registered Democrats will have an opportunity to cast their vote for sheriff. And in essence, that very well may be the sheriff, unless somebody writes in the November election. So I urge every voter to really look at the 3 candidates that are running and vote for the most qualified. Vote for the person with an education. Vote for a person that has that ability to lead the sheriff's office into the future. The York County Sheriff Morris Willett endorses me, and he's supporting me in this. In fact, what he was quoted on my palm card as saying is that I have the education and the experience to lead the sheriff's office into the future. Mayor Alan Cassavant wrote me a very nice endorsement on my palm card, as well as a police chief in York, Maine. So it's an important election, and I think I'm hoping that the voters will come out June 10th, and when they see Bill King, William King on the ballot, that they'll make that check.
Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure.
Great.
And it's nice to meet your family. Thank you, too. Folks, let's forget Democrat, Republic, Independent. Let's just look at the man and vote for the best one. It's very important in our world today. Saco and Biddeford, an area, we're pretty lucky, but still, we need to think before we vote. Thank you for being with us. Memorial Weekend this weekend. I think everybody probably has plans. I know we have cemetery plans. The St. Demetrius Church has an event at their cemetery, and we pray in the chapel and decorate the graves. Means a lot. It's good therapy for people, and families get together. And thank you to all the veterans and their families, alive and dead. And let's pray for the VA. And thank you for listening. Love, ZAFFIE.